I guess everybody's here for some virtual fencing. First of all, I'll just start off by saying I'm not a salesperson for Gallagher or a representative of Gallagher. Please get in contact with them yourselves if you're interested afterwards. Our grazing lease or tenure that we have is fairly unforgiving terrain, not the easiest to manage, always fighting with fences, fairly big chunks, a lot of bush, a lot of trees. We were really lacking during the growing season to move our animals to better grass, to better pasture, to get them out, to give certain areas a better rest, to exclude certain areas. Because of all our trees, any little bit of open ground gets really hammered and trampled, whereas there's still a lot of feed in the bush or in the trees, but they don't want to go there. So that's basically how we got to this. We looked long and hard. I mean, there's all the electrical fencing, temporary fencing, but with all our game and wildlife, you're driving fences every day, checking everything every day, becomes really labor intensive. So we got to the nice product of Gallagher and decided we want to do it. So far, I cannot say really anything bad about it. It's not a silver bullet. It doesn't mean you have no more fences, but it's definitely helping a lot. There's two options you can go. There's an option where you get the neckband and then you get a base station as well. If you don't have very good cell phone service, then it runs off of that. But from my understanding, that entails you have to have line of sight. So once again, all of our very steep valleys we have and tall trees we have, that does not work. Gallagher was so kind, they mapped it out for us and checked it out, and it wasn't really going to cover very much of it, so we knew that option was a no-go for us. And then the next option is working with cell phone service. So it checks in with cell phone service every half an hour. We do not have cell phone service all across our range. That just comes into managing around some problem areas. When you have a pasture where you want them to be in, make sure there is cell phone service, make sure your watering point or else your mineral trough is at least in a spot where it has service, because it just at least needs to check in. Once again, this is all preference according to ranch. If you want to know 24/7 where your animals are, then it's not going to work for you that way if you don't have cell phone service. But for us as a management tool, that works for us. If it can check in once a day, so you can update the new pasture if you want to update a new pasture. It just needs to basically be within service or within contact with or checking in once a day, so it can update any new information you send to it. But once it is sent to the collar, it stays on the collar. So even if that animal moves out of service, then it's GPS tracked basically. So then if your fence line is in a dead zone, the collar still recognizes it, even though it doesn't have service, because that's GPS coordinates. So you just basically need to have good service to be able to update a new fence or a new pasture that you want to move to. So there is a function on there as well. You can make a pasture, and then within that pasture you can have an exclusion zone. So that means it basically is another fence within the fence, so the animals cannot get to there. So if you have the example where you have more than one dugout out there on that specific spot that you want to be, and two of them don't have service and one has service, the best option is to put the exclusion zone over those two dugouts, so you force them to go and drink water at the one with service. So it's solar powered, covers with mud, everything else, and it takes a beating and it survives. Hangs around the neck. So if they do approach the line and they get close to the line, it will get a high-pitched noise. Shortly after that, it'll give a zap if the cow doesn't go back. That will repeat for 3 times within basically a minute's time. Once the third time happened, the system decides that this cow has escaped and it stops zapping and it stops doing everything. The cow is outside the fence. Because you have either your water point or your mineral trough or the rest of your cow herd still inside the fence, the cow will naturally try and go back at some point. It might not be right now, but it might be in the next 20 minutes or half an hour. Moving back into the fence, it does have no effect on them. They can walk freely back into the fence. The trial, like everything has been going really good. That's why I said everything is kind of management and learning. That's also what the Gallagher team mentioned to us when we started. They said the cows pick it up within 7 days, not even. Us humans take the longest to learn.